Hello, and welcome to the show Gold Squadron Gays. It's the podcast where two Star Wars loving gays break down each episode of their favorite Star Wars TV show while also being gay as hell. My name is Bradley Brower.
My name is Charles Rogers.
And we're your Gold Squadron Gays.
We are. Still gay last time I checked.
Right, exactly. So, Charles, introduce yourself. Give us a little bit of background on who you are.
Sure. So my name is Charles. I am a screenwriter, various other types of writer. That's what my degree is in. I have been a Star Wars fan since I was about 4 or 5 years old. I am not going to admit my age because that will make me a pariah in the gay community. One exception to that, because my father was a big Star Wars fan, was we were actually allowed to watch the Star Wars movies as much as we wanted. So I do say it is kind of my only nostalgia property that I have. I've been a collector of Star Wars Legos for about over 20 years. I started with the original run in 1999. I was 8 years old. I just outed my age there when I said I wasn't going to.
You did.
Whoops. Everyone will know that my grinder is a lie.
Oh, God.
But I've never stopped. I've continued being a Star Wars fan all the way up through college and up to now. It's something that has a huge impact on my career and a huge impact on what I do. And I am known in my friend circles as the Star Wars guy now, because apparently Star Wars is gay culture.
Right, exactly.
I didn't know this. So that's a little of my background. As I mentioned, I'm a screenwriter, but I also do playwriting. I've done a little bit of journalism. I've done some producing work. I don't currently do any of these things because of the plague, but I do tend to approach things from that entertainment perspective, that being where my area of training is. So that's a little of my background, a little bit about like my Star Wars history. I also did have a big crush on Han Solo, although I wouldn't realize it for probably 15 years.
See, I was into the Ewoks as a kid, so I mean, that's interesting. That I'm just kidding.
I mean, there's something to be said for Cubs. There is something to be said for Cubs.
No. I was definitely into Han Solo Daddy, because that was my, always been my thing. So I'll give a little bit of intro about myself as well. I am into television producing, as like you're into screenwriting. I went to school, the same school as you, although I guess I graduated.
I graduated once. That was more than enough times for me.
Hey, that's true. You've graduated at least once.
I graduated at least once.
One time, yeah, right.
More than most people at that school can say.
So I graduated in television producing. I have been watching Star Wars since I was, I don't know, probably like 8 or so, because I started watching Star Wars back during the prequel era, is when, if you want to date how old I am, that's when I kind of started getting really into Star Wars, because I think I was at that ripe age of 8 or 9 years old when the prequels came out. And I think my dad had introduced me to the original movies because we had A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back on VHS. And I only had those two. I didn't have Return of the Jedi. So I'd have to go to the library to rent it to be able to watch it. And I would rent it every weekend because that one was my favorite, because I didn't have it. So the one that everybody hates, if you're talking just the originals.
My shameful secret as a child, Return of the Jedi was also my favorite.
It was my favorite.
It has the best aesthetics. It has, for sure, the colors pop. But continue with your story.
Yeah. So I would go to the library every single weekend to get it. But the thing was, I had to get the special edition one, because I loved what's it called? The song or whatever that she sings, and the
Jedi Rocks.
Jedi Rocks. That's what it's called.
Jedi Rocks.
So I love Jedi Rocks. That was like when I was watching it. That was literally my favorite part of the movie. Like I would rewatch that stupid yellow bitch sing that song over and over and over again. And I used to think it was the best thing in the world. And I remember finally, like, as you know, later on in life, people were like, oh my God, this is the worst part of the movie is they fucking sing in the song. And I'm like, they deserved an Oscar for that scene. I don't know what you're talking about, but
when you're a kid, you have like, and this is the thing, particularly being like a gay kid.
Yes.
And not really having a lot of outlets for that kind of explosive, colorful, like it's almost like pageantry. Like I've heard
it is.
It's like a pageantry. Like I also remember liking that. It wasn't my favorite part of the movie, but I do remember liking that as a kid and looking back on a part of it's like, I really like watching like drag shows now and burlesque shows now. And it's the same kind of energy.
The same energy as a drag show.
Exactly the same thing. I have heard, I live in Los Angeles, and I've heard in San Francisco, I have a friend of mine who's frequently goes to San Francisco, or he did before the Black Plague started. And he has told me that apparently there is a Star Wars drag night up there. And I want nothing more than to have my real life version of Cy Snoodles doing Jedi Rocks in drag. I think that would be the most amazing thing to watch.
I mean, it's the same thing. She might as well be a drag queen, because even her backup dancers were like pretty much drag queens. I mean, now that I go back and think about it, because you had the one with the blue hair, or not blue hair, she was like the rock and roll chick looking. She had blue skin and red hair.
Yeah, the little dotted one, and she had kind of I know which one you're talking about. They kind of had like a red, green, blue thing going.
Yeah, because the Twi'lek or whatever was green, I think. There was a third one, right? No, maybe there was just two. I think there was only two.
Yeah, oh yeah, I think.
No, because one of them was a Greedo thing. What was it?
Yes, one of them was a Rodian.
Rodian, that's right. One of them was a Rodian.
One was a Rodian, and that was the green.
It was a Rodian girl. Blue, yeah.
Because the Twi'lek gets dropped into. I just said Twilight. The Twi'lek gets dropped into the pit, and then there's the kind of rocker looking chick, and then there's Cy Snoodles herself, who I guess she's into huts, per the Clone Wars. That's a thing.
Oh, I
mean that makes sense. You see some of these queens and their boyfriends, and you're like, oh yeah, I could see it.
And then of course the rock and roll chick with the red hair and the horns on her head and the dots, and she's got some weird dino looking feet. I don't know. Anyway,
why are you looking at her feet, Bradley?
Well, because it's a full body picture. They all have like their full bodies, and I'm like, oh, interesting, because they're all wearing like really slutty outfits. So they're basically all drag queens. So that's basically the whole point of this whole entire tangent, is that they're all drag queens.
I hadn't taken you for being into the feet pics, but I guess only for now.
Women. Only for women, obviously.
Because I was between 8 and I think I was 14 when Revenge of the Sith came out. And like the degree to which that was, because it was really one of the first times that the expanded universe was kind of coherent and was tied into what was presently happening. So you had the really awesome run of comics, and fun fact about Bradley, he doesn't know how to read. But true. They had books out as well that were coming out at the same time, and like the toys and everything that were coming out. It was like this great like era to be a kid, because you didn't have any of the baggage of like, oh, I'm supposed to not like the prequels.
Right.
Yeah, and you had all this really cool stuff coming out at the same time. As an adult, you have to kind of turn your brain off,
right,
to an extent, and be like, I know that I can be critical of this franchise and this stuff sometimes, but man, it's just really fun to buy a $60 Lego that I couldn't afford as a kid.
You know, funny enough, I had a little, I don't know if they sold this in like a set or something, because I only have like one tiny piece of it now. But I had, it was like a minifigure set. They're like, I don't know if you know what Polly Pockets were back in the day.
No, I bought Legos because like, I don't like fake things.
Oh, okay. Well, Polly Pocket was I guess it was not it wasn't Barbie, but it was like, you know, it was like a girl's girls, like I say girls.
Oh,
I say girls in quotes. I'm sorry.
see,
I
I got
say
Legos in my brain and just assumed it was like a Mega Bloks like ripoff of
oh
Legos
no
because you said you had one piece of it.
no, I just mean like because I lost it all over time. But it was no, it was like a miniaturized set and of Star Wars, and I'm assuming they had more to it because I had two mini sets, I guess, at one point in time because I have a mini Death Star set. You had tiny little miniature versions of it, like the Emperor and like a Stormtrooper and Darth Vader or whatever, and like they all
Right.
went on this thing. But I also had randomly a mini Jabba the Hutt on his little rolling throne or whatever you want to call it, his bed. And I also had a mini Zeiss Noodles. So I must have had the Jabba the Hutt Palace mini set at some point in time because I had him, unless he came individually packaged by himself. I don't recall. Somebody who's a toy expert could probably tell me. But
I'm sure those exist in Star Wars fandom. They exist.
I'm sure somebody out there is
Trust
a
me,
toy expert.
somebody could tell you.
I was gonna say we need to find one because I want to go through that. I want to be like, sir, can you tell me how much my little Obi-Wan Kenobi Ken doll is worth? Because I want to know, like
I was gonna say if you were to say Kenner, it'd be worth a decent amount.
No. It was literally like a doll. Like it was like a Ken doll
Ken
size
doll.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then I had a Ken doll size Darth Maul. And I used
When
to
you
have
think about it, it is easier as a kid to buy a doll if that doll is Star Wars.
Oh,
and you're like,
100%.
it's not. It's not buying a Barbie, it's
Nope.
buying a Star Wars thing, which
Exactly.
is completely different.
No, and it's true because I would always have like my sister would have Barbies, right? But then I would have Star Wars Barbies, right? So like I would get my mom to buy me a Padme Amidala Barbie doll, and she'd be like, okay, because it was fucking Star Wars. It wasn't Barbie, it was Star Wars, but it was the Barbie brand. So it was like, it was okay because it was Star Wars, but I wasn't, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't buying it it wasn't because it was a girl thing. It was a Star Wars thing. So it's okay. I'm allowed to have that.
Exactly. It's not gay. It's
right.
Star Wars.
It's
and
Star
the
Wars.
plot twist here, Star Wars was gay culture all along.
Right.
And none of us realized it until 2015 when The Force Awakens came out. And suddenly I'm having these passionate discussions with drag queens in full face.
Right.
At bars about The Force Awakens and about the Star Wars movies and going, I did not know this was such a thing.
Exactly. They're like, oh, I watched that as a kid too. This is so great. It's actually inspired my drag that I do on this, night or whatever, because I always wear my face makeup like this person and it looks like the alien from this scene and da 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 da. So
have you gotten to see Star Wars inspired drag? Because I don't think I've ever gotten to see it in person.
I've never seen it in person. I mean, obviously, for those who haven't caught on by now, we're filming this in the time of the Great Plague. So I haven't been to a drag show in over a year now.
Part of why I want to see this show, apparently, that's in San Francisco, that does it, because I'm really curious. Because we talked about like the whole Jedi rock scene being this sort of pageantry, and there's a lot of like that same kind of over the top theatrical, especially in the prequels. Lucas talked about the prequels. When he was filming them, he wanted to kind of invoke the golden age of Hollywood when everything was big. Everything was big. Everything was huge. That's part of why he structured it in such a way. So I'm looking forward, once COVID is over, to seeing. I'm waiting for someone to do Ahsoka Tano drag.
Ooh.
Because her costume is so built for that athletic kind of movement on stage. Like my one friend who did the what is it called, the cloth thing that hangs down from the ceiling and you kind of spin up and down it.
Oh yeah.
Did that in drag. I'm waiting for somebody to do that with like
some kind of silk dancing.
That was it. Silk. It was like a silk sleeve or something.
Yes.
I'm waiting for someone to do that with like Ahsoka Tano with like
Yes.
lightsaber, or waiting for somebody to do like a routine with lightsabers. Like, I'm ready for this. My whole body is ready for this. Just fucking, I will give you so much money. And the other thing that I want to see that I've never seen somebody done, I'm trying to get one of these queens who does the video game inspired ones to do Juhani from Knights of the Old Republic in
Okay.
full face. I know you've not played Knights of the Old Republic yet, I think, right? I think that was something we had
No.
planned for this podcast, that you were going to play it
Right. So in some capacity, yeah, I'll
in
try that.
some capacity.
Right.
But she is, what interests me about wanting to see that is, one, it's a really interesting look.
Mhm.
She's kind of this like cat girl sort of Jedi, but she is, to my knowledge, the first explicitly out gay character in the franchise.
Oh, interesting.
Mhm.
And this is on the Knights of the Old Republic video game?
Yeah, so the story was that they wanted her to be able to romance a female main character, and at the time the censorship was so bad that they weren't allowed to do that. So
Mhm.
they had to stick to having her confess her romantic feelings and have the player not be able to reciprocate it. But to my knowledge, she is the first one who explicitly shows a romantic interest in the same gender. And the interesting is, she doesn't do it if you're male. It's exclusively female. But
Oh,
I've been
interesting.
wanting to see one of these game queens do her, which I think would be really fascinating.
Yeah, I saw this girl on I think I was on TikTok. I was scrolling and sometimes I'll randomly get cosplay people on there. Because there's this super hot guy who cosplays as like Rex from Clone Wars.
You'll have to send me this for research later.
No,
I haven't seen this yet.
I'll send it to you. Oh my god, he's so fucking fine. And he cosplays as Rex, which obviously makes him even hotter. Because Rex is like a fucking daddy anyway. And
love the beard.
Right?
It's the white beard that does it for me. It's the white beard in the gut that does it for me.
Well, to be fair, he does obviously helmet wearing Rex, so he's part of the
501st Legion.
He's part of that group that likes to do the whole Stormtrooper cosplays, and he does a lot of Boba Fett, Stormtroopers, clones, cosplaying.
They're an awesome charity group. They are awesome. One episode of this, I really should do a deep dive into what they are, because what they are is actually pretty awesome. But yeah, some of those costumes,
they're fine.
Please tell me he has like the helmet and he's got the dad bod.
Well, no, literally he is ripped to shreds. So he looks fantastic without the helmet on. But I'm just saying. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent there, but so I get cosplayers sometimes, and I saw this girl, and she was like, she printed out a sewing pattern for Ahsoka's tendrils, I guess you call them, her headpiece.
Leku. No, not Leku. The Leku are for Twi'leks. They're something else.
Because it's not horn. Because it's not horns, but it's
right.
I mean,
it's not Leku, because those are specifically Twi'leks. And she's a
right. They're not horns or anything. They're something.
She's something else.
She's a Tortuga or something. Is that what it's called?
It's Togruta, I think. Togruta, either Togruta or Togruta. I didn't look it up before this podcast started, and I wish I had.
I was gonna say, Ahsoka fans are gonna be quaking because they're like, "How dare you disrespect our queen?"
Ahsoka fans mad because I can't remember whether or not her species name has a T in it.
It's spelled T-O-Gruta.
Togruta.
Yes. Okay.
So she has a Togruta.
She's a Togruta, and it doesn't say. Oh, they updated her picture to be
Rosario Dawson.
Rosario Dawson. Interesting. I'm on Wikipedia.
Just like cool. I was throughout all of high school. That's the other reason I wasn't having sex in high school. Besides Wikipedia not being out, I was at Wikipedia too much. That was my excuse. No, I'm not secretly gay. I just read a lot of the Star Wars wiki.
Of course. I'm trying to see if in appearance, it just has her appearances. I thought that would be like her physical appearance, but no, never mind. It's not really important. I'm just looking at the costume for Rosario Dawson because it's so interesting how they translate that into real life. Speaking of upcoming TV shows, So, out of all of the TV shows that you can remember, because
I remember all of them.
they
I
dropped a
remember
lot.
everything.
Okay, so
I don't remember
what's the
everything.
one here? I'll just say one because I don't want to give you too many, like options. But just what's one that you're excited for out of all of
This
them?
being this being the question du jour before we went off on the drag
The drag queen
tangent, which,
yes.
in fairness, we are both gay. Drag queen tangents tend to happen
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we
over the
just
course
bring
of
up
any conversation with
right.
at least two gay men in it. I've not even been watching Drag Race. It's worse for people who are watching Drag Race.
Oh, I know. I need to catch up because I'm like an episode behind, so I need to hurry up and watch that.
No, to answer your question, if I had to pick the one I was most excited for, hands down, no question, it's going to be the Acolyte, and it is for 4 reasons.
Okay, what are your 4 reasons?
One, female led, which I'm all about. 2,
Okay.
it's by the showrunner of Russian Doll, which is really good. 3, it's about Darksiders, which I'm super into. And 4, it's set during the High Republic, which is apparently very good. It's another plan that we have for the podcast. I've been holding off on reading the High Republic stuff, but I'm really interested. So all those 4 things, female-led, dark-sided show set in the High Republic from the creator of Russian Doll, like, sign me up. But it's so hard because there's so many. I look at them like, I need you injected directly into my veins. Like, just...
I know. I'm literally reading like the summary on this article about all different shows, and it's talking about the Acolyte, whatever. And funny enough, in the paragraph that talks about what the Acolyte is, it literally the whole entire paragraph is just the 4 things you listed. It says Russian Doll showrunner Leslie Headland, and then it says she's a writer and executive producer, and then it says emerging dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic era. And then it says female protagonist. So that's like, I'm on board.
If a man on Grindr had that kind of potential, I would be dropping the location pin so fucking fast.
Exactly.
You have no idea. Like that is worth, that kind of pitch is worth using like your one super like on Tinder for. Like that is so my thing. It almost hurts.
And I was going to say reading that gives me vibes of one of my favorite characters, which, from the Clone Wars show is Asajj Ventress. And that's giving me like evil women vibes, which I'm all about because those are the characters I care about in any media is just evil women. Because
they're all queer coded.
They're all basically, they're all queer. Or they're drag queens, or they're whatever,
or they're both.
So like stuff like that. I mean, this Acolyte show though gives me that Asajj Ventress vibe, and which I hope one day they do fucking bring her back live action, because if they can bring Ahsoka Tano, another one of my favorite characters, live action, which I never thought they would ever do, and now they're making a fucking TV show about her. They can bring Asajj Ventress to the small screen.
Bradley can't read, so no one tell him about Dark Disciple. He refuses to admit that exists. We thought, actually, for a while, when rumors of the Acolyte were starting to circle, because I follow sort of the leaks and rumor community, I take it all with a grain of salt. But one of the things that was, I think, bounced around was the idea that it might be like an Asajj Ventress tangent show, like something with that similar vibe. This was before, we kind of knew it was confirmed that it was going to be in the High Republic, but that was one thought. And it does feel like that kind of aesthetic. Like I remember talking about the Clone Wars being so good when we were growing up. One of the things I remember was her first appearance in the Cartoon Network show back in like 2005, and like seeing her and going, I am so about this character. I can't even put my finger on why. I am just in love with this character's a whole deal. Like we had an action figure of her. I thought she was great. She had the curved lightsabers, and she wasn't traditionally like what we would imagine as being feminine, which was a really cool concept.
Right.
It was like that type of character being dropped there and having that sort of like female character that wasn't just like the same as Leia or the same as Padme. That was really, really neat to see at that age. And I couldn't put my finger on until many, many years later why. But yeah, that's what we thought the Acolyte might be. It seems like it's kind of like it may be that same type of character.
I mean, I'm down for it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've been very curious about this era of Star Wars for a long time because I don't play the video games and I don't read the books, so I don't really know too much about the Old Republic, which is fine, you know, because you don't really need to know about it to enjoy any of the movies or the TV shows or the cartoons. But I would be remiss if I, you know, didn't get to experience at least some of it because it does fascinate me because it's that essentially, you know, Knights of the Round Table, Game of Thrones era of Star Wars that we have never, you know, seen on the small screen. So I'd love to at least see something, you know.
That's how they actually pitched the High Republic. That's actually how they pitched it. Was they pitched it as like the era of the Jedi where they are being the Knights of the Round Table. So we see in the prequels that the Jedi have kind of lost their way a little bit.
Right.
And it's a theme that Dave Filoni leaned into with the Clone Wars. And it's a theme that, you know, Rian Johnson continued with The Last Jedi, correctly calling them out to say that they let Sidious rise. And even Lucas himself, you know, going back and watching the prequels, there's this great scene in Revenge of the Sith where they talk about the fact that Yoda acknowledges the fact that, oh, we might have misread the prophecy. Whereas the High Republic Jedi are supposed to be, this is the Jedi at their peak. This is the Jedi that are the Knights of the Round Table. So It's really interesting that you describe that. We may have to teach you how to read.
Yeah, I'm already trying, and it's really challenging just to get at least one chapter done a night of this Thrawn book. So I'm trying. It's just I can't always do it, you know, because I fall asleep as I'm reading, and so I have to stop because I'm like, well, I don't want to miss anything in this story, so I have to set it down, and then when I go back to read it later, I just kind of like regurgitate, like reread what I just read like a few pages before just to kind of get it. It's why it takes me a while to finish it. But I'm only on like chapter 8 and I've had it for like almost 3 weeks. So
I feel bad for Twinks because books are where all the fun stuff happens and it's so exclusionary to you guys. He said, having only just left Twinkhood like barely a few years ago himself.
Right. I mean, honestly though, if anything, reading this book, you're right, it gives me gay vibes because there's nothing gayer than, you know, a sexy, you know, blue man and his twink sidekick in this book, and that's what Thrawn's basically about. And you know, no one at Disney can tell me different, and I don't know if they're ever going to make a TV show about Thrawn. I mean, I know he'll show up in the Ahsoka show probably, but if they ever make a prequel Thrawn show, that's what I want it to be about. I want it to be about him and his sexy twink friend, and they just get it on Star Wars land. Yeah.
One of these days, I'm going to introduce you to the wonderful world of Thrawn Twitter and what goes on over there. I have peeked into it. It's like I've opened the door a little bit, looked around, went, okay,
I'm going to find like
the door slowly now.
Thrawn fan fiction. I need to look it up and be like, Thrawn slowly caressed my nipples. That's what I'm going to find.
I'm sure a lot of people are thinking it. I haven't been to AO3 to view his tag yet, but now after we're done recording this, I kind of want to.
Right. Honestly, though, if I was a good enough writer and I like could sit there and take my time and type that out, I'm sure I could write the hottest little fanfic about Thrawn because he is one of my favorite male characters in the Star Wars universe. And honestly,
brains are sexy.
I mean, I want to see him. He's like a sexy Sherlock Holmes, like a blue Sherlock Holmes who is a lot younger and hotter. That's what he is to me. Like, especially when I'm reading this book, because he's like, I figured out the plan before you guys even did the plan, you know, kind of situation. So he's a very interesting character, and I like his take. But I think honestly that we haven't seen a Sherlock Holmes-esque Star Wars show, so why not do a Thrawn show where it's like him solving murders or something? I don't know.
Well, that's what, Rangers of the New Republic, we don't know anything about that other than the name. So
Right.
we're thinking that might be like a police procedural.
Oh, you
Almost.
think like a SVU kind of situation?
Like a
Oh, I never thought about that.
yeah, like something you would see on CBS. So
Right.
like, Elementary, or I don't know if Castle aired on CBS. I think
I think it's ABC.
that
Yeah.
it aired on, or like Law and Order, but that kind of show to where they go around and they solve space crimes.
That would be
as we
interesting.
know,
Yeah.
Bradley and I, we took I think this was the TV writing course. Was it the TV writing course or the history of TV course that I did the presentation on Law and Order?
Oh, I don't remember, because I remember we had to, in the TV writing course, we had to write our own hour-long drama.
I opted out of the TV writing course because I already had the degree.
Oh.
So I managed to get out of having to take that because I did my senior thesis TV pilots, and they were like, yeah, we're not going to make you do this again. Okay. No, it was in that class that I did a presentation on Law and Order, which I have called the most evil show in television, the most evil genius show in television.
Right.
Because it's the cop formula, distilling it down to cop formula with no gimmick, is just, you can produce TV from now until the end of time.
Yeah, because you can literally change one tiny little aspect of the show to give yourself a gimmick, and then your show is, quote, different than any other cop show because you have the one different element on your show.
It's Law and Order, but
it's
Sherlock Holmes, which is
right.
Elementary, or it's Law and Order but with Stephen King for Castle. Right. Or it's Law and Order with fake psychics for Psych. Like this one, it feels like it might be like Law and Order, but it's in space. I'd watch, bringing it back around to the TV. It's I'll kind of jump in and I'll return the question back to you. I'll be the one to ask it. Of all of the slew of TV shows that they announced, which one are the one that you are most excited for and why?
That's a tough question, but I'm looking at the list now, and what I would have thought, if you would have asked me this before they announced all these, because you know how we kind of knew about some of them before.
We kind of knew. We
had vaguely
rumors and things like that.
We vaguely knew about some, like we knew about the Andor show vaguely. We knew because they were basically like hinting at it a long time ago, but
they announced it a long time ago.
Right. So I would have said, if you would have asked me that like a year ago, I would have said the Andor show, because, I love K2SO and I love that whole Diego Luna back and forth kind of thing that they have. So I think that would have been my favorite, but because I heard a rumor that K2SO is not on the Andor show.
It's not a rumor. It's been confirmed by Alan Tudyk. The first season at least is not going to feature him, but it is a multi-season show.
Okay. Well, that's good, I guess. But in that aspect alone, I mean, not that that's that super important, because I'm sure it'll still be an amazing show, but I would have said that. But now I'm going to say, because it's more of a limited series, I'm going to say the Obi-Wan Kenobi show I'm actually looking forward to most, only because Hayden Christensen is coming back.
I am so... like Hayden Christensen shirtless in Revenge of the Sith is like every young gay Star Wars fan's like awakening, where you're like, something is going on here and I'm not sure what it is, but I'm into it.
Can get it any day of the week. And you know what's funny is I used to think he was a homosexual. I still think he is a homosexual, even though there's probably evidence regarding otherwise.
I'm sure it's out. I don't know much about his personal life because
he's very secretive.
That would be weird.
Yeah. Well, I just know that he lives on like a farm in like Canada or something. So you like basically
good for him.
He's living the high life.
You got your Star Wars money.
That's right.
It's one of those things. It's like, you know what? You put up with enough. Cash your check. Do whatever you want.
Collect the royalties and go home. Like that's all you need to do. I mean, no, I used to. I think I watched one of his movies called Jumper, which was. I mean, I just love young Hayden Christensen. I think he's so fucking fine. And his movie Jumper, I used to think he was so cute, but then he had that dumb girl that he was in love with the whole entire movie, and I was like, get out of here.
That happens in a lot of Hayden Christensen movies.
I was like, she's so annoying. And I think that was the girl that he was, quote, dating at the time. And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure he's gay. Like, there's no way. And so I don't see him. I mean, he's probably married now. I mean, I don't know anything about the guy. Super fine. Let's see. Partners, Rachel Bilson. Oh, they broke up in 2017. So they're not together. Oh, it says he has one child. What? This man has reproduced.
This man has someone to carry on this leg. I did not know that.
This 39-year-old man has reproduced.
Well, I mean, by 39, most straight people have reproduced at least once. We, on the other hand, are just living up the high life, being 25 until we turn 60.
For sure. I mean, that's the way I plan to live. It says they separated in 2017, and then he bought a farm in 2007. Oh, well, that was a long time ago. In Canada. Let's see, blah, 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 livestock, crops, blah, 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 blah. He loves that stuff. Oh, here we go. This is the key. This is how you always know. He was featured in the company Red, the ones who do the AIDS stuff. It says Lazarus Effect Campaign, and it increases awareness efforts to fight AIDS in Africa. And if he's raising efforts to, fight AIDS, then he must be a homosexual. So, because, everybody who's famous, who's gay, always tries to do stuff for AIDS. So it must be true.
Yeah, but on the other hand, like,
or he's just a good person. I mean,
or he's just a good person.
Or he's just a good person. I mean, it's fine.
Because it is a specific campaign. It's not like a gay specific campaign. True. It is for AIDS in Africa. So maybe he's just a decent human being.
Oh, but it says he's also a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, which I guess is hockey. Ooh. So that doesn't bode well.
He is a hockey fan.
That doesn't bode well.
He is I don't think I've ever met a gay hockey fan.
I mean, to be fair, though, I'm sure most Canadian gay men, I'm sure there might be a lot of them who like hockey. So we don't.
That is true. So that is true. I need to get on the phone with my potential green card husband and be like, "Hey, babe, do you like hockey? Should I be learning about this?
So should I know about these things?
Immigration and customs that we're an actual couple."
And it looks like I'm looking at his IMDb page too. It looks like he's in all 6 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series, which it says there's 6, but there could be more. I don't know. It just says he's in 6 of them as Darth Vader.
I think they've said 6. Although I think IMDb just works off of, like, it's not unreleased information, so maybe they're just assuming. Here's the interesting thing that I want to know. Mm-hmm. So they've got Hayden Christensen back.
Yes.
Obviously. He probably would not, if Vader shows up in the suit,
it wouldn't be him.
Probably not going to be providing the voice for it. But he
wouldn't do the body either.
The suit. Well, he did it in Revenge of the Sith. That was why he wanted to play Anakin in the first place. Right, he wanted to be in the Darth Vader suit.
But isn't somebody playing the body now? Like, there's a person who that's their job, is just to play the body.
Well, they had somebody, they had David Prowse in the original films, and then Hayden Christensen was the person in the suit for Revenge of the Sith.
Right. But then who played him in Rogue One? And there's a new guy.
I don't know who it is.
I forget his name. He's the new guy.
I know there's a guy who prolifically plays Chewbacca. Like,
yes, and he's pretty hot too.
I think is his name. He's so tall.
He's so tall.
He's so tall that it doesn't matter what he looks like.
I would climb that man like a tree. Like, he is so fucking not tall. I was like, damn, he's hot too, if you look him up. But
his whole thing is that he plays Chewbacca. Like, he doubled for him in Force Awakens, and then he took over in Last Jedi. He was Chewbacca in Solo. He was Chewbacca in Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, that's his whole thing. I don't know who was in the suit in Rogue One.
Yeah, because I feel like he would be like the current guy.
I don't know whether or not they're going to have like Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader unmasked, which, let's be real,
I
Hayden
mean, they could do it.
Christensen with the like eyeshadow and the
Mm-hmm.
yellow eyes and like the smoldering look.
Oh, I love
Like
him like
it
that.
it does things to you as a gay teenager. It like
Oh,
does
yes.
things to you. And I'm like kind of looking forward to seeing Hayden
Mhm.
Christensen be directed well.
Oh my God. See, that's what people don't understand. Like I've been trying to say this forever. If Hayden Christensen got a good director to make him be Darth Vader or whatever, people would never look at him the same way again. They'd be like, "Oh my God, he is Darth Vader." Like they would. That's what they would say.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And like I've been saying this, I've been saying this for years,
Right.
that part of the problem with the prequels is one of my criticisms of George Lucas is he's very bad at directing actors.
Right.
So you have these actors who are very, very good,
Hmm.
but they're not receiving the right direction. And on a
Exactly.
filmmaking side of things, people think that a lot of it is the actors. It really is symbiotic between the actors and the director.
Right.
Like Mark Hamill wouldn't be nearly as engaging in his performance in The Last Jedi if it hadn't been such a back and forth with Rian Johnson. But you have these actors in the prequel trilogy, really two of them, Ewan McGregor and Ian McDiarmid, who are one so good
Right.
on their own. Ewan McGregor just oozes
Right.
Obi-Wan Kenobi on his own. Like even kind of thrown adrift without a lifeboat, he's
Yep.
still able to add the little quirks and things and play off of Alec Guinness's performance
Right.
to kind of build this new character that's his. And Ian McDiarmid is just hamming it up
Right.
and having a great time. And that's all his character is he's hamming it up and playing this Shakespearean Iago type.
Mhm.
But you have people like Hayden Christensen, or to a lesser extent, Natalie Portman. You also kind of see it with actors like, even really good actors, like my favorite actor of all time is Christopher Lee. And even me watching his performance or watching Samuel L. Jackson's, like, I know these are good actors,
Right.
but like their performance is kind of flat because I feel like they weren't getting the direction. So I agree with you. I'm excited to see Hayden Christensen. One, because he has aged really well.
Yes.
He has aged so well.
He looks phenomenal.
But the other thing is getting to see him play this part with some direction that's a little different than Lucas's, to be a little more focused on the character.
Right. Well, because that was the criticism, right? Or the rumor at the time was that George would always have them, just say their lines and they would just take the first take. And with actors, the first take is never going to be the best one. You got to kind of get into the groove and kind of, do it just a few times. Just kind of like, okay, I said it twice. Now I can really do it. Like, I just got to practice a little bit for a second to kind of get in the mode.
Right. And I find that too as an actor, like having done it in the past, the first take is never the take that I like.
No.
It always cuts and you're like, yeah, let's do it again. And it's with writing too, it's the same thing. The first draft is never going to be good.
Of course.
Never at all. This is something that I had to learn in college, and I don't know what y'all's writing classes were like, but we talked a lot about in ours about the first draft is just about getting it on paper.
Exactly.
And then you build from there. Yeah, that was something we talked about, was the first draft is always bad and the later drafts are what you build off of, and acting's kind of the same way.
Right. Well, either way, I'm very excited for all of these TV shows, regardless of, honestly, they're just giving us Star Wars, so I really can't complain. You could be giving us the crappiest of crap for Star Wars, and it's still Star Wars. So that's all that matters to me. So
there are people that would say certain movies that came out recently would qualify for that.
Yeah, but hey,
whether or not I agree with them is a subject for future podcasts.
I agree, but for sure, like it's still Star Wars. So Star Wars is Star Wars. So people can't be mad. Like, that's all I have to say. Like, you just can't be mad if they're giving you Star Wars, because they could go through a dark era where they just don't give us anything at all, like they used to in the past, and nobody wants that again. So,
or they could give you stuff that's just very, very off the wall. One of these days, the old EU did some stuff and went to some places.
Well, I've heard some things. Like, I think there was like a camel in an X-wing at one point, but I don't know. We'll get there someday.
There's a horse.
There,
or the horse might be canon. I need to check these things.
We'll check if the horse in an X-wing is.
We'll check the canonicity of the horse.
All right. Well, I think that's all I got for today. What about you?
That is good for today. There's a lot of this content going to come out, and we're going to be doing more episodes before things start dropping. So I'm excited to see kind of what's coming up now that things are starting to come out this year. And I'm excited to kind of see the wonderful impact this is having on the gay world, because I never expected that it would have this much.
Exactly. All right. Well, I guess how we're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna have to sign off for now. See how we want to do it, because everybody has their own little like fun little sign off messages.
Everybody's got their cute little thanks for listening.
Right.
We'll form up or whatever.
We gotta come up with some kind of like, you're always gonna be a gold star gay like us, or gold squadron gay like us. Or so, I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We're gonna
as we go.
We're gonna figure something out. Maybe that's something we could solicit some suggestions on.
Ooh, that's true. Yeah, see if anybody can come up with something creative.
See if come up with something clever.
Well, until next time.
May the force be with you.